Story 1. I've been raising chickens on my small farm for about 8 years now. Started with just 6 hens as a hobby when I moved out to the countryside, and it gradually grew into a small business. Now I have about 40 chickens, all heritage breeds, free-range, well cared for. I sell their eggs at the local farmer's market every Saturday morning, along with some vegetables from my garden. The farmer's market is my favorite part of the week. I get to talk to regular customers, meet new people, and make enough money to support my little farm operation. Most vendors have been there for years. We all know each other, help each other out, share tips about growing and raising. It's a good community. My setup is simple. I have a table with cartons of eggs organized by size, a small chalkboard with prices, and I bring along 2 of my friendliest hens in a portable coop so kids can see real chickens. The hens seem to enjoy the attention, and it's educational. Parents love it, kids love it, and it definitely helps with sales. That Saturday morning started like any other. I arrived at 6:30 to set up my booth, arranged everything nicely, and brought out my 2 hens. They're both buff Orpingtons, beautiful golden birds with sweet temperaments. They settled into their coop and started doing what chickens do, pecking at some treats I'd brought, occasionally clucking softly. By 8 o'clock, the market was filling up with shoppers. I'd already sold a few dozen eggs and chatted with several regulars. The weather was perfect, not too hot yet, and I was having a great morning. Then she appeared. She walked up to my booth and immediately zeroed in on the chicken coop. Stood there staring at my hens for a long time without saying anything. Me, good morning. Would you like some fresh eggs? She didn't respond, just kept staring at the chickens. Me, they're free range, all natural feed. $3 for a dozen, 5 for jumbo. Her, those chickens are staring at me. Me, well, chickens do tend to look around. They're curious birds. Her, no, they're staring. At me specifically. Me, I think they're just checking out all the activity, lots of new people to see. Her, that one just gave me a dirty look. I glanced at my hens. They were both just standing there, doing normal chicken things. One was preening her feathers. The other was pecking at some corn. Me, chickens don't really give dirty looks, ma'am. They're just birds. Her, I know what I saw. That hen looked directly at me with aggressive intent. Me, I promise you, they're very friendly chickens. Would you like some eggs? Her, I'm not buying anything from those chickens. Me, okay, no problem. Have a nice day. She didn't leave. She stood there, arms crossed, glaring at my hens. Other customers started approaching, and I helped them while she continued her staring contest with my birds. After a few minutes, she pulled out her phone and started taking pictures of the chickens. Me, can I ask what you're doing? Her, documenting this. Me, documenting what exactly? Her, the threatening behavior of these animals. Me, ma'am, they're chickens in a coop. They can't threaten anyone. Her, that's what you think. She walked away, still holding her phone. I figured that was the end of it. Weird encounter, but the farmer's market attracts all types. I was wrong. About 20 minutes later, she came back with an animal control officer. Officer, good morning. I received a complaint about aggressive animals at this booth. Me, you've got to be kidding me. Her, see? Those are the chickens, the ones that threatened me. Officer, ma'am, can you explain what happened? Her, those hens gave me a dirty look, multiple dirty looks. I felt threatened and unsafe. The officer looked at my chickens. They were now both napping in their coop, heads tucked under their wings. Officer, those chickens. Her, yes. Officer, the sleeping chickens. Her, they're probably plotting something. The officer turned to me. Officer, are these your birds? Me, yes sir. They're here for educational purposes. Kids like seeing real chickens. Officer, are they aggressive at all? Me, not even slightly. They're buff Orpingtons. Probably the friendliest breed you can own. Officer, have they pecked at anyone or tried to escape? Me, never. They just sit in their coop and occasionally eat treats. Her, but what about the looks? Officer, ma'am, I can't cite someone because their chickens looked at you. Her, they were dirty looks. Officer, how do you know the difference between a regular chicken look and a dirty chicken look? Her, I know what I saw. Other vendors were starting to gather around now, watching this unfold. My friend who sells honey 2 booths down was recording on his phone. Officer, these birds are clearly well cared for, properly contained, and not bothering anyone. There's nothing I can do here. Her, this is unacceptable. Those chickens are a menace. Officer, they're chickens, ma'am. Her, dangerous chickens. Officer, have a good day, ma'am. He tipped his hat to me and walked away. She stood there sputtering. Her, this isn't over. I'm reporting this market to the health department, the agriculture department, the mayor's office. Me, you do what you need to do. Her, those chickens should be banned from public spaces. Customer in line. Lady, they're literally farm animals at a farmer's market. Where else would they be? Her, somewhere away from innocent people. She stormed off, nearly knocking over a display of tomatoes at the next booth. The rest of the morning, people kept coming by asking about the crazy chicken lady. Word spreads fast at farmers' markets. Everyone thought it was hilarious. My friend with the honey booth came over during a slow moment. Friend, dude, you need to capitalize on this. Me, what do you mean? Friend, that video is already going viral in our local community group. People are talking about it. Me, great. Now I'm famous for having threatening chickens. Friend, no. You need to lean into it. Make it a marketing thing. I thought about it all week. By the next Saturday, I had a plan. I made new signs for my booth. Big, professional-looking ones. Karen-free eggs guaranteed safe from dirty looks. These eggs come from chickens that promise not to stare at you judgmentally. Warning, hens may glance in your general direction. Proceed with caution. And the main sign, in huge letters, Certified Karen-Free Zone. I also tripled my prices. $9 for regular eggs, $15 for jumbo. I figured if people thought it was funny enough, they'd pay for the joke. I set up my booth at 6:30 like always, put out my new signs, and brought the same 2 hens. They looked as innocent and fluffy as ever. By 7 o'clock, people were already lining up. Word had spread. The video of her confrontation with animal control had made it to social media. Everyone wanted to buy eggs from the vendor with the threatening chickens. Customer, are these really the dangerous chickens? Me, the very same. They've been on their best behavior all week. No dirty looks that I'm aware of. Customer, I'll take 2 dozen of the Karen-free eggs. Me, that'll be $18. Customer, worth every penny. I sold out completely by 9:30. Every single egg gone. People were actually disappointed they'd missed out. The woman never came back. But the Karen-free eggs became my brand. I kept the signs, kept the prices, and kept bringing my 2 friendly hens to the market. Business tripled. I had to get more chickens to keep up with demand. Started a waiting list for customers who wanted to reserve eggs in advance. 6 months later, I was making more money than I ever had. I expanded my operation, hired some part-time help, and even started doing farm tours on weekends. All because some woman thought my chickens gave her dirty looks. My hens, by the way, remain completely unbothered by their reputation as threatening poultry. They continue to do what chickens do best: lay eggs, eat treats, and occasionally glance around at their surroundings. Though now, whenever they look at someone, people laugh and take pictures. Best marketing strategy I never planned. Story 2. I've worked as a TSA agent at the airport for 7 years now. I took this job right after I got out of the military. 8 years in the Air Force, honorable discharge, and I wanted something that still felt like serving, but with better hours and less deployment. Airport security isn't glamorous, but it's steady work with decent benefits, and after years of structure and discipline, I actually don't mind the routine. The job teaches you patience real quick. You see thousands of people every day, all stressed about flights, all tired, all wanting to get through security as fast as possible. Most people are fine. They follow the rules, take off their shoes, empty their pockets, go through the scanner. Easy. Some people get annoyed, but they keep it to themselves. Then there's the small percentage that make the job interesting in all the wrong ways. Last Thursday was supposed to be a normal shift. I clocked in at 6 in the morning for the early rush. Business travelers mostly, people who fly all the time and know the drill. The line was long but moving steadily. I was manning the document check station, verifying IDs and boarding passes before people entered the screening area. Everything was smooth until around 7:30. That's when she showed up. She cut straight to the front of the line. Just walked past about 50 people like they weren't there. A businessman who'd been waiting patiently for 10 minutes looked shocked. Businessman, excuse me, the line starts back there. Woman, I'm not waiting in that line. Businessman, everyone has to wait. Woman, not me. I'm tired of standing in lines my whole life. I'd been watching this unfold. I stepped forward before it escalated. Me, ma'am, you need to go to the back of the line. Woman, no, I don't. Me, yes, you do. Everyone waits their turn. Woman, I have a flight to catch. Me, so does everyone else here. Woman, but I'm tired of waiting. Do you understand? I've spent my entire life waiting in lines. At the grocery store, at the bank, at the DMV, everywhere. I'm done. Me, I understand it's frustrating, but the rules apply to everyone. Woman, I'm a Platinum Rewards member with this airline. I deserve priority. Me, Platinum members have a separate line over there. You can use that line if you have that status. Woman, that line is also long. I want to go through now. Me, that's not going to happen. You can wait in the regular line or the priority line. Those are your options. Woman, or what? You'll arrest me? Me, I'll have security escort you out if you don't comply. She looked around like she was expecting everyone to support her. The businessman just shook his head and looked away. A woman behind him was filming on her phone. Nobody was on her side. Woman, this is discrimination. Me, it's not discrimination to ask you to follow the same rules as everyone else. Woman, I'm being singled out because I'm standing up for myself. Me, you're being asked to wait in line like the 50 people behind you who also have flights to catch. My supervisor had noticed the commotion and walked over. She's been doing this job for 15 years and has exactly zero patience for nonsense. Supervisor, ma'am, what seems to be the problem? Woman, your agent is refusing to let me through. Supervisor, because you tried to cut the line. Woman, I didn't cut. I'm asserting my right to not waste my life standing around. Supervisor, everyone here is tired. Everyone here has been standing. Everyone here wants to get through quickly. But we process people in order. Woman, that's not fair to people like me who are exhausted from a lifetime of lines. Supervisor, life isn't fair. The line starts back there. Woman, you're both being extremely rude. Supervisor, and you're holding up everyone behind you. Move to the back of the line or leave the checkpoint. Woman, I want to speak to your supervisor. Supervisor, you can file a complaint after you go through security. From the back of the line. The woman's face turned red. She was shaking with anger. People in line were getting impatient now, shifting their weight, checking their watches. Woman, fine, but I want both your names for my complaint. Supervisor, it's on our badges. Now move. The woman stormed toward the back of the line, muttering loudly about discrimination and terrible customer service. I thought that was the end of it. I went back to checking documents. My supervisor returned to her station. 10 minutes later, the woman reached the front of the actual line. She'd been festering the entire time, getting angrier by the second. I could see it on her face. When she got to me for document check, she threw her ID and boarding pass at my chest. Woman, there, happy now? Me, please don't throw things at me. Woman, I didn't throw anything. I handed them to you. Me, you threw them. I'm going to need you to calm down. Woman, I am calm. She wasn't calm. She was yelling. Other agents were looking over now. I checked her documents. Everything was in order. I handed them back to her properly, not throwing them. Me, you can proceed to the screening area. She snatched them from my hand and walked to the conveyor belt where you put your bags and belongings. She was slamming things down. Shoes off, thrown into a bin. Laptop out, slammed into another bin. Jacket off, thrown. My colleague at the conveyor was trying to help her, but she kept snapping at him. Colleague, ma'am, you need to put your liquids in a separate. Woman, I know the rules. I've done this 1,000 times. Stop micromanaging me. She went through the scanner. It beeped. Of course it did. She had a metal bracelet on that she'd forgotten about. Second supervisor, ma'am, you need to remove all jewelry and go through again. Woman, this is harassment. You're doing this on purpose. Second supervisor, the machine detected metal. It's not personal. Woman, everything today has been personal. Everyone here has been targeting me. Second supervisor, please just remove the bracelet and step through again. Woman, no, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm tired. I'm tired of lines. I'm tired of rules. I'm tired of being treated like a criminal when I just want to catch my flight. Second supervisor, if you don't comply, you won't be catching any flight. That's when she snapped completely. She reached down, grabbed her designer purse from the conveyor belt, and hurled it directly at my colleague who'd been helping with the bins. It hit him in the shoulder. Not hard enough to injure him, but hard enough to make the point that she'd assaulted a federal agent. Everything stopped. The entire checkpoint went silent. My colleague looked shocked. My supervisor immediately radioed for airport police. I moved toward the woman to make sure she didn't try to run or do anything else crazy. Me, ma'am, you need to stay right where you are. Woman, he deserved it. You all deserve it. Me, you just assaulted a federal officer. Do you understand that? Woman, I barely touched him. Colleague, you threw your purse at me. Woman, it was an accident. Me, we all saw you throw it deliberately. Airport police arrived in under a minute. 3 officers. The woman immediately switched tactics, started crying, saying she was stressed and exhausted and didn't mean it. Police officer, ma'am, we need you to come with us. Woman, I have a flight. I have to go to my daughter's wedding. Police officer, you should have thought about that before you threw your belongings at a TSA agent. Woman, it was just my purse. It's not like I hit him with something heavy. Police officer, you assaulted a federal employee. That's a serious offense. They escorted her away in handcuffs. She was crying and yelling about her daughter's wedding the entire time. People in line were applauding. One guy actually started a slow clap. The woman who'd been filming earlier gave me a thumbs up. My colleague was fine. Shaken up but not hurt. We filed all the reports, gave statements, watched the security footage about 6 times with different supervisors. The woman was charged with assault on a federal officer and banned from the airline. Permanently. Her ticket was voided, and from what I heard through the grapevine, she had to drive 18 hours to make it to her daughter's wedding because no other airline would book her on such short notice with that incident on her record. My supervisor printed out a still frame from the security camera showing the purse in mid-flight and hung it in our break room with a caption that says, "Think before you throw." I still work that checkpoint, still see thousands of people every week, still deal with complaints and frustration. But every time someone starts getting aggressive about the line, I just think about that purse sailing through the air and remember that some people really do make their own problems worse. And honestly, everyone's tired. Everyone's been standing in lines their whole life. That's just part of existing in society. Most people figure that out without catching federal charges. Story 3. I've been renting out my guest house on short-term rental sites for about 2 years now. After my divorce, I needed extra income, and since I had this small cottage in my backyard that was just sitting empty, It seemed like a good idea. The guest house is nothing fancy, just a studio with a kitchenette, bathroom, and a queen bed. But it's clean, comfortable, and I've gotten mostly positive reviews from guests. I work as a nurse at the local hospital, so I do 12-hour shifts 3 or 4 times a week. That schedule works well for the rental because I'm around enough to handle any guest issues. But I'm not hovering over people either. I've had some interesting guests over the past 2 years, but nothing too crazy until this woman booked a 5-night stay last month. Her reservation seemed normal at first. She said she was in town visiting family and wanted somewhere quiet to stay. I sent her the check-in instructions, and she arrived on a Wednesday afternoon while I was at work. My check-in process is pretty simple. There's a lockbox with the key, and I have everything guests need explained in a welcome binder inside. When I got home from my shift that evening, I saw her car parked in the driveway, but I didn't see or hear her. That was fine. Lots of guests prefer privacy, and I respect that. But the next morning, I glanced out my kitchen window and noticed something weird. The curtains in the guest house looked different. I thought maybe my eyes were playing tricks on me, so I didn't think much of it. But that afternoon, she knocked on my back door. Me, hi, how's everything going? Do you need something? Her, yes, we need to discuss the condition of your property. Me, oh no, is something not working? I can fix whatever you need. Her, the curtains were completely unacceptable. They were thin, outdated, and they let in too much light. I couldn't sleep properly. Me, I'm sorry about that. There are blackout blinds behind the curtains that you can pull down if you need it darker. Her, I saw those. They're insufficient, so I brought my own curtains and installed them. The space is much more functional now. Me, wait, you brought your own curtains? Her, yes, I always travel with proper window treatments. You can't trust rental properties to have adequate light blocking. I installed them yesterday. I just stood there trying to process what she was saying. She'd brought curtains from home and hung them in my guest house without asking me. Me, you can't just install things in a rental property without permission. You should have asked me first. Her, I'm doing you a favor. Your curtains were terrible. These are much better quality. You should be thanking me. Me, I need you to take them down and put the original curtains back up. Her, absolutely not. I spent 2 hours installing these properly. The old curtains are folded in the closet. You can do whatever you want with them after I leave. Me, this isn't your property. You can't make changes to it. Her, it's a temporary improvement during my stay. I'll remove them when I check out if you're going to be difficult about it. She walked back to the guest house before I could say anything else. I was stunned. I'd never had a guest do anything like this before. I thought about going over there and demanding she change them back immediately, but I decided to wait until she checked out. I didn't want a confrontation while she was still staying on my property. The next 3 days were quiet. I didn't see her much, which was a relief. On her checkout day, I was home and waiting to inspect the guest house after she left. She was supposed to check out by 11 in the morning, but at 10:30 she knocked on my door again. Me, are you heading out? Her, yes, but we need to settle the payment first. Me, payment? You already paid when you booked. Her, payment for the home improvements. I installed high-quality curtains that significantly increased the value and functionality of your rental. I'm charging you $200 for the materials and $300 for my labor. I actually laughed because I thought she had to be joking. Me, you're not serious. Her, I'm completely serious. I spent my personal time and money improving your property. That's worth compensation. Me, you did that without my permission. I'm not paying you anything. Her, then I'm not checking out until you do. And I'm keeping the curtains I installed since you don't appreciate the value I've added. Me, you can't just stay here without paying for extra nights. Her, send me a bill for the extra nights. I'll deduct it from what you owe me for the improvements. This woman was completely out of her mind. I pulled out my phone and opened the rental platform's messaging system so everything would be documented. Me, I'm messaging you through the platform right now. You need to check out immediately and return the property to its original condition. You're not getting paid for unauthorized changes. Her. This is theft of services. I performed work on your property. You're legally required to compensate me. Me. You're legally required to check out on time and not damage the property. If you're not out in 30 minutes, I'm calling the police. Her. Fine, I'll leave. But I'm taking my curtains with me, and I'm leaving you a 1-star review. She stormed off. I waited outside my house, watching to make sure she actually left. About 20 minutes later, she came out with her suitcase and drove away. I immediately went to inspect the guest house. The original curtains were crumpled in a heap in the closet, and sure enough, her curtains were gone. But that wasn't the only problem. When she'd installed her curtains, she drilled new holes in the wall above the window, completely ignoring the existing curtain rod. There were 6 new holes, and she'd also yanked out the brackets for my original curtain rod, leaving larger holes and chipped paint. I took photos of everything and documented all the damage. Then I went through the rest of the guest house. She'd also rearranged some furniture, leaving scratches on the hardwood floor, and there was a stain on the bedspread that looked like red wine. I immediately filed a claim through the rental platform for the damage. I included all the photos and explained what had happened. The curtain rod damage alone was going to cost about $150 to repair properly, plus I needed to repaint. The floor scratches required a professional to buff out, and I had to replace the bedspread. 2 days later, she responded to my claim with her own counterclaim. She wanted $500 for her home improvement services and demanded a full refund of her rental fee because the property was substandard and required guest intervention to be habitable. The rental platform took about a week to review everything. During that time, she left me a scathing 1-star review claiming I was a hostile host who didn't maintain my property and tried to steal her personal belongings. I responded professionally, explaining that she'd damaged the property without permission. Finally, the platform ruled in my favor. They removed her false review, charged her security deposit for the damages, and banned her account for violating their terms of service regarding property damage. She tried to appeal, claiming she was being discriminated against for trying to help. The appeal was denied. I used her security deposit to fix the walls, repair the floors, and buy a new bedspread. I even upgraded to actually nice blackout curtains just in case anyone else complained about the light. About 2 weeks after everything was settled, I got a letter in the mail from her. It was a formal invoice for her curtain installation services, threatening small claims court if I didn't pay within 30 days. I forwarded it to the rental platform's legal team, who sent her a cease and desist letter. I never heard from her again after that, but I did add a line to my house rules explicitly stating that guests cannot make any modifications, installations, or improvements to the property without written permission. Sometimes I wonder if she goes to every rental with a suitcase full of curtains, just looking for opportunities to charge people for unwanted home improvements. Story 4. I've been teaching dance to kids for about 15 years now. Started right out of college when I got my degree in performing arts, and I've never looked back. I run a small studio with about 60 students, ages 4 to 17. We do ballet, jazz, contemporary, and hip-hop. Every year in June, we hold a recital at the local theater so the kids can showcase what they've learned. The recital is always the highlight of my year. Months of preparation go into it. Choreography, costume fittings, rehearsals, stage blocking, music selection. The kids work so hard, and seeing them perform in front of their families makes everything worthwhile. Some of them are naturally talented, some have to work harder, but they all deserve their moment on stage. This year's recital had about 40 kids performing across 12 different numbers. We'd rented the community theater, a nice venue with proper lighting and sound. Parents had bought tickets weeks in advance. The place was packed with about 300 people. Her daughter had joined my studio in September. She was 11, had some previous dance experience, and was pretty good. Not exceptional, but solid. She picked up choreography quickly and had decent stage presence. Her mother, though, was intense from day one. She'd sit in the waiting area during every single class, watching through the window. She'd email me after each lesson with questions about her daughter's progress. She'd ask why her daughter wasn't front and center in formations. She'd suggest I give her daughter more challenging choreography than the other kids. I'd dealt with parents like this before. I stayed professional, explained that every student gets equal opportunities, and tried to set reasonable boundaries. It mostly worked, though she clearly wasn't happy about it. The recital started at 2 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon. The first few numbers went perfectly. The little ones did their ballet piece, got huge applause. The intermediate jazz group killed their routine. Everyone was having a great time. Her daughter was in the 7th number, a contemporary piece with 6 girls. They were dancing to a beautiful piano song, all wearing matching flowing costumes. I'd choreographed it to showcase each girl equally, with different students featured in different sections. The music started. The girls took their positions. The curtain rose. They were about 30 seconds into the routine when I heard yelling from the audience. Stop! Stop the music! I was backstage managing cues with my assistant. We both froze. Turn it off. The sound technician looked at me with panic. I shook my head. Keep going. Then she appeared. She came running down the center aisle and didn't stop at the stage. She climbed right up onto it, heels and all, while her daughter and the other 5 girls were mid-performance. The girls stopped dancing, completely confused. The music kept playing. You need to clear this stage immediately. Me, what are you doing? Get down from there. I rushed out from backstage. The audience was in complete shock. These other children need to leave. Now. Me, get off the stage right now. My daughter needs to perform this piece alone. Me, that's not how this works. Get down. Her daughter was standing frozen center stage, mortified. The other 5 girls had backed away toward the wings. This routine is being ruined by these other dancers. They're lowering my daughter's frequency. Me, I don't even know what that means. You need to leave immediately. My daughter is a star. She doesn't need these background dancers dragging her down. Me, they're not background dancers. This is an ensemble piece. Well, it should be a solo. The audience was starting to react. Some people were booing. Others were yelling for her to get off the stage. Audience member, lady, sit down. Another audience member, let the kids dance. You people don't understand. My daughter has a gift, a frequency. These other children are blocking her energy. Me, the only thing blocking anything right now is you blocking this performance. Her daughter started crying. Daughter, Mom, please stop. Honey, I'm doing this for you. These other girls are stealing your spotlight. Daughter, I don't want a spotlight. I want to dance with my friends. You don't know what you want. You're 11. Me, that's it. I'm ending this number. I signaled to my assistant to drop the curtain and cut the music. The curtain started coming down. No, my daughter hasn't finished. Me, yes, she has. Security. We didn't have actual security, but my assistant's husband, who'd been helping with stage crew, came out. He's a big guy, works in construction. Assistant's husband, ma'am, you need to leave the theater right now. I paid for a ticket. Assistant's husband, and now you're getting a refund. Let's go. This is discrimination against talented children. Assistant's husband, this is you ruining a kid's recital. Move. He didn't touch her, just stood there blocking her path until she had no choice but to walk toward the stage stairs. She climbed down, still yelling. You're all going to regret this. My daughter is going to be famous, and you're all going to remember the day you suppressed her frequency. The audience actually started clapping as she was escorted up the aisle and out of the theater. Not for her, obviously. For her removal. I went backstage where all 6 girls were huddled together. Her daughter was sobbing. Me, hey, it's okay. Everyone take a breath. Other dancer, is she gone? Me, she's gone. Listen, I know that was scary and weird, but you all did nothing wrong. Her daughter, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Me, honey, this is not your fault. Not even a little bit. Her daughter, she's always like this. She ruins everything. The other 5 girls immediately surrounded her with hugs. Other dancer, we love dancing with you. Don't let your mom make you think different. Me, do you girls want to finish your routine? We can run it again right now. All 6 of them looked at each other. Her daughter, can we? Really? Me, absolutely. This is your moment, not hers. They nodded, wiping tears, helping each other fix their costumes and hair. I went back out on stage in front of the closed curtain. Me, ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for that interruption. The dancers would like to perform their piece again from the beginning, if that's all right with you. The audience erupted in applause and cheers. I went backstage, signaled to start the music, and the curtain rose again. Those 6 girls danced their hearts out. It was the best they'd ever performed that routine. Perfect synchronization, beautiful emotion, complete trust in each other. Her daughter was smiling the whole time. When they finished, the audience gave them a standing ovation that lasted almost a full minute. People were cheering, whistling, some were crying. It was the kind of moment you dream about as a dance teacher. The girls came off stage and group hugged, jumping up and down with pure joy. The rest of the recital continued without incident. Every number after that seemed extra special, like everyone was determined to make the day positive despite the disruption. After the show, her daughter's father found me. He'd been in the audience the whole time. Father, I need to apologize for my wife. Me, you don't need to apologize for her choices. Father, we're separated. She's not supposed to cause scenes like this anymore. It's part of our custody agreement, actually. Me, I'm sorry you're dealing with that. Father, can my daughter keep coming to classes? I'll make sure her mother isn't involved anymore. Me, of course she can. She's a wonderful dancer and a sweet kid. Father, thank you. This studio means everything to her. Her daughter continued in my classes. Her mother never came back. The dad handled all drop-offs and pickups. The girl flourished without that pressure. She's still one of my students 3 years later, now 14, and she's genuinely talented. Not because of some mystical frequency, but because she works hard and loves dancing. The video of the incident went viral in our local community. Someone posted it with the caption, "Dance Mom Loses It at Recital." The theater actually got a boost in ticket sales for other events because people thought they handled it well. I made one change to my studio policies after that. Now parents sign a contract that includes a clause about respecting the performance space and not interrupting recitals. I call it the frequency clause. Nobody's tested it yet. And those 6 girls? They're still best friends. They call themselves the Frequency Squad. I think that's the perfect ending to the story. Story 5. I own a small gym. It's nothing fancy, just a neighborhood fitness center with basic equipment, some free weights, cardio machines, and a couple of group classrooms. I opened it 4 years ago after working as a personal trainer for almost a decade. I'd saved up enough to lease a space and buy equipment, and I wanted to create a place where regular people could work out without feeling intimidated or judged. The gym has been doing well. We've got about 200 members, mostly locals who come in before or after work. I keep the membership fees reasonable and the atmosphere friendly. I'm there most days, helping people with form, answering questions, fixing equipment when it breaks. It's hard work, but it's mine, and I'm proud of it. About 6 months ago, a woman joined. She signed up for a basic membership, filled out all the paperwork, took a tour of the facility. Everything seemed normal. She came in 3 or 4 times a week, usually in the evenings, did her workouts, left without any issues. For the first 2 months, I barely noticed her beyond the occasional nod hello. Then one Tuesday evening, she approached me at the front desk. I was going over some billing paperwork when she walked up looking agitated. "Woman, We need to talk about the mirrors. Me, what about them? Woman, they're wrong. Me, wrong how? Woman, they're distorting my aura. I honestly thought she was joking at first. I looked up from my paperwork and smiled, waiting for the punchline. She wasn't smiling. Me, I'm sorry, what? Woman, the mirrors in the weight room. They're distorting my spiritual energy. I can feel it. Me, the mirrors are standard gym mirrors. They're flat, not the kind that distort images. Woman, I'm not talking about my physical reflection. I'm talking about my aura, my energy field. The mirrors are interfering with it. Me, I don't really know what to say to that. The mirrors are just mirrors. Woman, you need to move them. Me, move them where? Woman, away from where I work out. Or replace them with spiritually neutral glass. Me, spiritually neutral glass. Woman, yes. These mirrors have negative energy. I need you to fix this. Me, ma'am, I'm not replacing perfectly good mirrors because of energy concerns. The mirrors are there so people can check their form while exercising. Woman, my form is fine, but my aura is being damaged every time I come here. Me, I'm sorry you feel that way, but I'm not changing the mirrors. She stared at me like I just told her the worst news of her life. Then she turned and left without another word. I figured that was the end of it. Maybe she'd quit the gym, maybe she'd just avoid the mirrors. Either way, problem solved. I was wrong. 2 days later, I got an email from her. It was 6 paragraphs long, single-spaced, detailing her concerns about the mirrors and their negative impact on her spiritual well-being. She included links to articles about auras and energy fields and how reflective surfaces can disrupt them. She demanded again that I either move or replace the mirrors, and said if I didn't comply, she'd be forced to take legal action. I replied with a polite but firm email explaining that the mirrors were standard equipment and would not be changed. I offered to cancel her membership and refund the remainder of the month if she was uncomfortable, but that was all I could do. She responded within an hour. She was not canceling her membership. She was not backing down. She was consulting with a lawyer about my discrimination against people with spiritual sensitivities. I forwarded the email to my own lawyer, who'd helped me with the business setup. He read it and basically said to document everything but not to worry too much. People threaten lawsuits all the time and most of them go nowhere. The woman kept coming to the gym. Every time she came in, she'd glare at the mirrors like they'd personally wronged her. Other members started noticing. A few asked me what was going on with her. I kept it vague, just said she had some concerns about the equipment. 3 weeks after the initial complaint, I got served with actual legal papers. She was suing me. The lawsuit claimed that I was discriminating against her by refusing to accommodate her spiritual needs, that the mirrors were causing her psychological harm, and that my refusal to address her concerns constituted negligence. She was seeking $5,000 in damages plus the cost of replacing all the mirrors in the gym with what she called energetically appropriate alternatives. I called my lawyer immediately. He reviewed the paperwork and told me not to panic. The lawsuit was ridiculous and wouldn't hold up in court, but we still had to respond properly. He drafted a response, and we went through the whole legal process. During this time, the woman continued her membership. She'd work out and then spend time taking photos of herself near the mirrors, presumably documenting her aura distortion or whatever. She started bringing a friend who would take videos of her standing in front of the mirrors talking about negative energy. Other members were getting uncomfortable. A couple of regulars asked me privately if I could ask her to stop disrupting the gym. I explained that until the legal situation was resolved, I was trying to avoid direct confrontation, but I was monitoring the situation. The case took about 4 months to work through the system. My lawyer kept telling me it would get dismissed, but we still had to show up for hearings and file paperwork. It was stressful and expensive and took time away from actually running my gym. Finally, we had the actual hearing. The woman showed up with a binder full of printouts about auras and spiritual energy and the harmful effects of mirrors. She gave a 20-minute presentation to the judge about how my mirrors were a form of optical oppression and how I was violating her rights by refusing to accommodate her spiritual practice. My lawyer simply presented the facts. The mirrors were standard gym equipment. There was no legal requirement to accommodate spiritual beliefs about energy fields. Her membership contract made no promises about aura-friendly facilities. The lawsuit had no legal standing. The judge listened to both sides. Then she dismissed the case. She said that while the woman was entitled to her beliefs, there was no legal basis for requiring a gym to modify its equipment based on spiritual energy concerns. She also noted that the woman had continued using the gym throughout the lawsuit, which suggested the mirrors weren't causing her actual harm. The woman tried to argue. The judge cut her off and said the case was closed. I thought that would be the end of it. I was relieved. I'd won, the lawsuit was gone, and I could go back to running my gym in peace. Then 2 days later, one of my members sent me a link. The woman had gone live on social media with a 47-minute rant about the case. I watched some of it. It was completely unhinged. She talked about optical oppression. She claimed I was part of a conspiracy to suppress spiritual awareness. She said the judge was biased against people with energy sensitivities. She accused me of running a dangerous facility that was harming people's auras and getting away with it because of corrupt legal systems. She showed the court documents on screen. She read portions of my lawyer's arguments and mocked them. She encouraged her followers to boycott my gym and leave negative reviews. The video got a few hundred views. Most of the comments were people telling her she sounded crazy, but a few supported her. Within a day, my gym's social media pages and review sites were flooded with 1-star reviews from people who'd never been there, claiming I discriminated against spiritual people and ran an oppressive facility. I spent hours flagging fake reviews and responding to comments. My lawyer sent her a cease and desist letter about the harassment and defamation. That just made her angrier. She posted another video, this time 30 minutes long, about how I was trying to silence her truth. My actual members were amazing. They started posting their own reviews defending the gym and explaining what really happened. They reported the fake reviews. A few even commented on her videos telling her to stop harassing a small business owner. Eventually, the social media platforms took down most of the fake reviews. Her videos stopped getting views. People lost interest in her rants about mirror conspiracies and optical oppression. She finally canceled her membership 2 months after losing the lawsuit. She sent one final email saying she was leaving because she couldn't continue to expose herself to my harmful facility, but that she'd never forget what I'd done to her spiritual well-being. I didn't respond. The gym is doing fine now. We actually gained members after the whole situation because people in the neighborhood heard about the crazy lawsuit and wanted to support us. Someone made a joke about our mirrors being powerful enough to disrupt auras, and now it's become a running gag among the regulars. I still have those mirrors. They're just regular gym mirrors. They reflect your physical body so you can check your form while you lift. That's it. No aura distortion, no spiritual interference, no optical oppression. Just mirrors in a gym, doing exactly what they're supposed to do.